merge into a kind of magical animal. Obeying purpose, training the wild abandon. I got a room at the plaza, a 660.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here we are with episode 85, the final installment, number 10 of our Noise Rock series for No Coast Fest. And today's very special guest is none other than Jeff Helland, the organizer and the founder of No Coast Fest. He is also a musician. He has played in bands. Most recently, he's played in the band called Hoaries. What you're listening to is the first track off of one of their albums called Rocker Shocker. This song is called I Got a Room at the Plaza. I just really like this song, so I just kind of wanted to play it. Jeff does mention what is up with Hoaries as of right now. They were scheduled to play the fest, but due to unforeseen circumstances, they will not be able to play this year. You can stay tuned to hear about that and have Jeff explain it to you in his own words. But a great little band. I mean, I really enjoyed the bands that he's been in, that I have listened to. And I will provide a link to the Hoaries Bandcamp page, so that if you are interested in purchasing any of the Hoaries music, you can still do it through there, and we encourage you to do so, obviously. I mean, even if the band is not necessarily currently active, it still will help the people that were involved. I'm sure of that. And I'm sure it will help Jeff. Another thing that would help Jeff is if you go to nocoastfest.com and purchase tickets to the show. We are down to the final days. By the time this airs, it'll be Monday, the 24th, which means you're 3 days away from the beginning of No Coast Fest 2022. If you have not gotten your tickets, I encourage you to do so right now. Book your flights, book your hotels, do all that stuff. I've already done that for myself. I'm going to be there for 2 of the nights, and then because I'm going to be with the Hammer Party, we have to go to Austin for the next 2 nights of the weekend. So unfortunately, we will miss the last 2 nights of No Coast Fest, but they are excellent shows. I'm very torn about not being able to be there, but I will try to do my best to do a recap. As I said, this is the last episode of the series, which has been incredibly fun. Jeff had no idea I was doing this. He had not asked me to do this. He didn't know I even had a podcast. I did this because I wanted to do it. I thought it was a great opportunity to speak with a number of noise rock bands because I am a fan. I am a fan of the noise rock genre in general. I definitely like a lot of noise rock, and I saw this as a great opportunity to get to know some other current noise rock bands even better than I would just from listening to them, and also touch on something very important to me. And I think that noise rock is a very amazing genre, and from the conversation that I've had with Jeff, it's important. If you're a fan of this genre of music, it's important for a number of different reasons. Obviously, if you've listened to the previous episodes, you can kind of get a feel for why, coming from the bands that make this music. And I think probably the biggest thing is the sense of community. No matter what it is that you do, no matter what it is that you love, you need a community. You need a group of people around you that can be kind of your second family, people you can rely on, you can trust, you can appreciate and admire, respect and learn from. And I think that is what this series has kind of informed me of. I've always been I've been a fan for a very, very long time, and I have no intention of going anywhere. I love this community. I love that I have any inkling of connection to it, and I don't take that lightly. And I hope you guys have really enjoyed the series. It's been a challenge for me, but I've done it completely out of love, and it's been great. It's been really, really great. I'm looking forward to being at No Coast Fest this year. Maybe it'll be something that I can make a journey of mine and make it every year from this point forth, because I'm very excited. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity just to see an amazing show. If you don't have your tickets, I encourage you guys to do that. Links will be provided in the show notes to get those tickets. You're down to the final days, and I hope to see you there. I really, really hope to see a lot of people there. If you have been tuning in, if you know the show at all, by all means, come say hi. I will be there. I'll probably be hawking the Hammer Party merch, but I'd be more than happy than to say hi to anyone that has been participating in this with me. It's been a great honor to promote the fest and to talk with these bands, and I thank you guys for tuning in and doing it. If you like the show, if you have found it as nearly insightful as I have, I encourage you to do all the things you do with the internet, please. Like, share, comment, subscribe, rate and review, and all those things. Share with friends if there's an episode that kind of really stood out to you as informative and helpful and in any way. Share it with a friend. That's all I can ask. That would be great. Thank you very much, folks. I hope to see you in Texas. If not, I'll see you back here very soon. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I've just a little technical difficulties there for a second. I just got home from work like literally minutes ago, so scrambling to get everything set up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope I didn't put you out at all.
No. It's just, when you work in construction, things happen, and today's thing was a meeting that went long. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, it's better than flooding. We had some flooding last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And
wild.
you're up in New York State, or right?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Oh, okay. Yeah, I should know that.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. And you're in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What city do you live in?
I live in Waxahachie, which is south of Dallas, about 30 miles.
Okay, Waxahachie. It's a tough one for me. I couldn't.
It's a tough one for everybody.
Couldn't wrap my tongue around that. Well, hey, it's a pleasure to have you on, buddy. I'm thankful for you coming and joining me to do this.
Yeah, thanks for picking up the sort of the mantle of No Coast and interviewing all these bands. I know that a lot of these bands are excited to do that kind of thing, so it's really, really cool for them, I'm sure.
Okay, because the way I'm working this is that I'm so excited to speak with you, because from what I know so far, from the talks that I've done, I'm focusing on the idea of noise rock and what noise rock is. So I was really excited to speak with you because I feel like you are the patriarchy of noise rock right now. Like you seem to be like probably the go-to for information when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I can provide. I mean, I'm just a fan, so hopefully I can get you with the information you're looking for. I mean, most of this is just stemmed from me being a fan and being just immersed in it for, since my musical consciousness, sort of started. So.
Yeah. Well, so because you also play in bands and you're playing in Hoaries currently, right?
Yeah, we although we lost our drummer in a few months ago, so that sort of sent things into a bit of a spiral. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be taking a little bit of time off. I played in bands for so long, and then with the fest being what it is right now, this kind of avenue, or intersection of the fest and not having really a rhythm section, it's just not going to be conducive to me being in a band. There's just too many things going on right now.
Oh, okay. Now, when you say you lost your drummer, did he step away, or is he passed away?
Oh no, he stepped away.
Okay.
Yeah, no, okay. He just decided he just wanted to do other things. So that's his prerogative, and
right.
Noise rock does not pay. So
right, it doesn't. That's what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
So now, so what is your experience? Now, I forewent asking you about a record because I wanted to focus specifically kind of on the fest and kind of like pick your brain a little bit about noise rock. What is your relationship with noise rock music? Because I know that you have been playing in bands obviously for a very long time. What was the first band you started? Let's just start there.
The first band I played in?
Yeah.
The first real band I played in, Well, the first show I ever played in front of anybody was in a band called the Baptist Generals, which is not noise rock. It's a sub pop kind of. They're on the last two records were on sub pop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very like Americana driven, very bluesy, but very folksy. I mean, the guy started out with his friend playing snare drum, him playing acoustic guitar on the street corner,
Yeah. Okay.
And then
I've been listening to one of the record that you're on. So what is it? Silver and Gold?
yes, no silver, no gold.
No silver, no gold. I'm sorry. But yeah, and so it's weird because it has that Americana feel to it, but of course it has this other weird texture to it, which is kind of, I guess you could kind of say it's like a lo-fi indie or folk Americana on acid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty good. Yeah, I mean, and that would fall suit with his, kind of 13th floor elevators worship and, those types of things.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the first show I ever played. Now, I was in a band at that time called Tank Tank, which was a 4-piece, mostly instrumental band with my brother. Ethan from Moon Pussy was in that.
Oh, okay.
Who I've known since he was 14 years old. We've been longtime friends.
Oh, cool.
And then John Paul played drums, and he played drums also in White Drugs. So we had that band for several years, and it is a very a lot of U.S. maple worship, a lot of kind of avant-garde, herky-jerky instrumental guitar rock. And then, so that was the first band I played in. And probably the most wild band that I was in. I mean, it was just insane trying to write songs. It would take months and months to write a song, and but I loved it. I mean, that just seemed to be my calling, playing things that, to this day, I don't really know covers. I don't know how to play them. I get bored. I'm not interested in playing other people's music. And I've played in other bands before, like Baptist Generals, and played what I wanted to in that band. And then, luckily we both came to the mutual conclusion that as he started to tell me what to play, we realized that wasn't going to work out. Just because I wasn't interested. He wanted somebody he had a very specific vision, and I didn't fit that. And that just is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, that's admirable to understand and to kind of to see that as what it is, like you weren't going to fit in, and to accept that, I guess. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so then you moved on to White Drugs after that.
There was a little bit of a period in between. I played in several bands, a band called Books, which is not the famous one called Books. It was just a 2-piece crazy. I played drum or bass and keyboards, real wild, just similar to that first band, Tank Tank, just crazy.
Okay.
And then I just I got tired of playing weirdo music that nobody really got. So White Drugs was kind of sprung from that. I'd met Chris through some mutual friends, and we just hit it off. And before I knew it, we were rehearsing 3, 4, 5 times a week. And
you were a band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just sneaked up on you.
Exactly. Yep.
That's wild. Well, yeah, I mean, that happens. That's great. That's a great organic experience,
Mm-hmm.
So now, so the thing was, I think what I was saying before that I kind of messed up on was that I didn't ask you to choose a record kind of because I wanted you to specifically focus. I wanted to focus on tackling this idea of what noise rock is, because from the bands that you've been in and that we've been talking about for a little bit, my understanding of them is that you said that Baptist Generals isn't really a noise rock band, but kind of from what the research I've been doing based on the bands that you have on the bill this year, it kind of covers a wide swath, and that could be kind of fit into or fit under that umbrella of what noise rock is.
Oh, I would totally agree with that. I mean, I sometimes get, just conversationally accused and, lowercase accused of adding a little too much expanse to what noise rock is. You'll get people who have a very, very cut and dry idea that the Melvins are the only real true noise rock band, or, Jesus Lizard is the only real, like, if you don't have the Jesus Lizard bass guitar sound, it isn't noise rock. Whereas I kind of loosely just to encompass anything, I have this idea of dangerous music. And it doesn't have to be loud and abrasive, a band like Patois Counselors, who's playing this year. That music's weird. It's a more accessible band, but it's doing things that have really not been done in a consistent manner. You'll have had bands that have tried that type of thing, and it just either was one song on a record. But
sure.
I see sort of noise rock as a much bigger genre that is not as restricted to just loud white dudes screaming. I mean, I think that is what has been sort of the face of noise rock for the last 10 or 15 years. That's what people kind of think of. It's just angry white dudes screaming about crap, which sure, that's part of it. But I think there's such a larger depth of field there. And I haven't even really, I don't even think I've scratched the surface of that, but so that's been sort of my idea. And then also I'm running out of bands. If I stick with that, I can't have a festival, right? So maybe it necessitates me expanding that idea or that definition of the genre.
Yeah. Well, so from what you said earlier, are you saying that are you actually getting some kind of pushback from potential customers that are saying like this isn't a noise rock festival?
It would be, I wouldn't say pushback in the sense of like, it would be just more of like a sentiment. And this probably a year or two ago when you would see bands that would post and, hey, I want to play this. And, oh, it's not a festival if it doesn't have this band, or, it's not a noise rock festival unless it has these three bands in it. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. If I booked every band that people wanted me to book, the festival would fill up in a matter of minutes and I wouldn't be engaged in it anymore. It would be their festival, which is, it is for the community and for the fans and everything. But my stake in it is a little bit more than, to be able to do it and love it, I have to have a little bit more hands-on approach to it. So
sure, of course. And if you didn't, it wouldn't be yours.
That's true. Yeah.
So now, speaking of that, how do you go about filling out the criteria of who can fit these bills?
Well, each year starts with I'll say this: the last 2 years have started more with headliners first. Like, I need headliners. I need somebody to be able to, raise the needle for just the average noise rock fan. So I start there, and I'll have a handful of people that I target right away. And some of these I won't name names, but I had a band I worked on for dang near 15 or 16 months. And it didn't work out. And I was going to linchpin the whole, they were the linchpin. And then sort of a thing like, I forget who I got first. I think I got Tropical Fuckstorm first this year.
Cool.
So that gives me like okay, now I can build, I have something to anchor a feeling on. Like, what does that band make me think of? And then I think of all the little influences, what bands currently are doing those things and what bands challenge that idea of what TFS does. And then I want bands to fit in that. So I kind of like, it's more like when you're walking down a road, you're walking down going on a hike, and there's many trails that kind of fork off of that. Sure. You just pick one and you stick with it. And then if that doesn't work out, you make another turn. And of all the bands that we book, I send out another 4 or 5 times as many requests. And I still try to maintain some kind of identity to the festival without it just being, these are the bands that would play. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I try to make it flushed out, like a sense of, I'm going to get to see every day the span of noise rock. And the criteria for those individual bands sort of starts with, to be flat out honest, do I like them? do I like the band? Am I going to enjoy watching this band perform?
Yeah.
And do I love every single band that plays? I may not love the music. Like I may not listen to it all the time, but I appreciate what they're trying to do. I appreciate that a band is putting it out there, putting on some new spin of what their little niche is. And so I start there like, hey, can I listen to this? Is this good? Like, is it doing something new? Is it a little bit dangerous, which, is again, not just loud and violent, but is it pushing a boundary? Right. And then it comes to what's it going to be like performing? Like, what are they going to do? Is this going to be just like the recordings? Is it worth soaking up a slot on this band? Or is there a band that may kind of give the audience a little bit more excitement than another band? And so I just kind of, there's not like a checklist, so to speak, but right. It really starts with, like, here's a good example. The Heat Death. I've met Layla through Moon Pussy 3 or 4 times. And for whatever reason, hadn't listened to him until this latest record came out. I made the mistake of only listening to it on one format, which if you listen to any record first, you never listen to it on Spotify. That's one thing I've learned with noise rock. Always, if it's just download, always Bandcamp, because the way they attenuate highs, the way they flatten out levels and things, it just doesn't give the record its due, like it doesn't do it any justice.
Yeah.
So I listened to it the first time. I was like, it's all right. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I listened to another band, Grasshopper Lies Heavy, and I happened to listen to it on Spotify. I was like, man, that's a lot different. And then I went through the catalog in my brain. What bands did I just listen to only on Spotify? Well, that was one. So then I listened to it on Bandcamp, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, this is great. Right. And it just takes that little bit. What the danger was in that wasn't captured. And then instantly I thought, okay, if that's not captured and it's so subtle that it could be removed with some idiot EQ thing that some corporation does, what's it going to be like live? Like, how does that subtlety? So then that just it blossomed out into something bigger. Like, now I'm super excited about seeing that band. I even like texted Corey and Moon Pussy, and I was like, man, I feel terrible that, like, I didn't listen to this. I didn't give it its due, like its time. And it really has a place. Like, that band, I think, and that record has a place in noise rock. Not only what they're trying to do, but how it sounds, the gaps it bridges. So that's sort of a good example of a band that I didn't give the right amount of time to, and I got pushed into it. And there are other bands that'll happen with. I can't think of any other ones at the moment, but so yeah, the criteria is very loose, but it also I know it when I hear it, and sometimes I have to be like reminded to listen again.
Yeah. Okay, 2 questions here because of what you said. First of all, so are records essential to you? Do you listen to a lot of records, and do you prefer that?
I do prefer listening to records. I don't get to listen to a lot of records just because of my busy lifestyle. I mean, I have 3 little boys, do a lot. We're a very busy family.
I bet.
I get home, like I said, it could be 3:30, it could be 6:30. By the time we get dinner, chores, homework, in bed, it's 9:30. Yeah. And that's it. That's the day.
Time to wind down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, man. Well, and so now the other thing I was asking about, kind of criteria for bands to fit these bills. The question that essentially kind of got brought up by T-Tops, because we were talking about Nirvana and In Utero, was like, what is noise rock? Like, what is it to you?
I think it does go back to this idea of pushing boundaries, trying to attain a level of danger with, and I use that word a lot because I think it encompasses, carelessness. Like, you hear a lot of these bands, not Carelessness, I'm sorry, Carefree maybe, where you'll hear a band and they're like, they are going for it. They are pushing boundaries. They don't really give a shit what anybody thinks. And they're pushing those boundaries and expanding on what they know of as their favorite bands, or, it's not just a carbon copy. So I think noise rock is, it's got its roots in, I think currently you can't escape grunge. I mean, it's just the generation of bands producing music now. First entree into loud music was grunge typically. And so you've got that, you've got old punk, you've got psychedelia. But noise rock, I think of most genres, is easy to pigeonhole. Oh, it's just noise rock. It's just loud guys, loud people with loud guitars, big bombastic drums, and screechiness or whatever.
Right.
But I think it's such a broad term. It's really hard to define because, you can't just say anymore that it's a 3-piece with clean guitars. Used to be a 3-piece with clean guitars, aggressive bass, and
big drums.
Big drums. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now you got bands like Psychic Graveyard that totally break that mold.
Right.
I mean, you got the clean drums, you got big bombastic drums, but you don't have any of the other stuff. I mean, his voice, Eric's voice, defies categorization. It is a wholly unique thing, and I would say they're a quintessential modern noise rock band.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now, so the other big thing that kind of brought to my attention through my conversations that I've had so far was I guess it was kind of based on the T-Tops thing again. You just mentioned grunge again, and how kind of that's the starting point for most people that get involved in this type of music, I guess, this community, I guess you can call it. I'm curious because I've been a fan of, noise rock, quote unquote, noise rock music for a while, since the late 90s, mid 90s, maybe. And I wasn't familiar with its history. I wasn't familiar that you could probably go back as far as the first Amphetamine Reptile Records releases in 86 did they start?
I believe so, yeah.
Somewhere around that. So since the 80s, there has been, noise rock bands. Now the comparison to grunge. So, it kind of, I think I asked T-Tops the question, is it's like, well, was Nirvana the first noise rock band to break mainstream?
I would probably say, I'd probably go back a little bit to, Sonic Youth. I think they would probably be one that, well, granted, they started before that, but their hits, quote unquote, were probably later than Nirvana. I don't know. Right. I mean, I think, the roots of it, the very, very deep tap roots, are things to me like the Stooges, where it's just weirdo. It's just nothing anybody had heard, nothing sounded like it ever again. So, and I don't necessarily know that grunge and noise rock are I don't know that grunge is the roots of noise rock. I just think that people up into their early 30s heard grunge first. They heard Smells Like Teen Spirit and thought, man, I like that. And then they heard a couple Penny Royalty or whatever it is, and dug a little deeper. And then that depth, took them to Bikini Kill. And then, those types of bands that then opened up the Pacific Northwest, and then Chicago. It's like that kind of domino effect of traveling through music will take you to these different regions. And, I grew up in little towns. We didn't have a record store. The town I grew up in, spent the most time, is 2,500 people. And my first CD, noise rock CD, was PJ Harvey's Rid of Me. Huh. I heard that before I heard Black Flag, before I really knew what punk rock was. I just knew the kids wandering around at the mall. I saw their shirts, their Crash shirts or whatever it was. And so I didn't grow into the music from another genre, I started there and pretty much stayed there. Like I went from PJ Harvey, and I think within a couple years I had a Today's the Day record, and then Polvo, and I stayed at that level in noise rock the whole time. And so a lot of people you'll hear like, oh, I heard Black Flag when I was 12. I didn't hear Black Flag till I was 20. I just it didn't occur to me that I would like it because it was all the punk rock stuff, and I didn't like punk. That's what I thought. And a band like Black Flag probably has a little bit more to say in noise rock than a lot of the other punk bands, but or hardcore bands. And
well, it's funny. So I mean, you started off buying PJ Harvey's Dry, or Rid of Me.
Rid of Me, yeah.
And you said you consider that noise rock.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think it's one of the most clear examples of noise rock there is. I mean, you listening to that record and how much angular guitar and opposing rhythms. The bass is doing one thing, drums doing another, guitar's doing another, and then she's singing over the top of it. Right. You just have all this stuff meandering in and out, and any particular part doesn't make much sense, or it's just kind of normal. And then you add it all together, and that's noise rock to me. Maybe there's a definition of noise rock. It's not all the members doing the same thing. You're trying to take, like, if you just take we'll just take shellac, for example. If you pull the drums out of shellac, you're going to get bored. You're going to be kind of like, you're going to think it's kind of cool because it's so sparse. But then you're going to wonder what's the point. And then if you listen to just Albini's guitar, you're going to think, boy, that's shrill, but it has a couple parts that hit. And then you throw in some bass. And then if you just mix it all into a bowl, you're like, okay, this all makes sense. It's three guys in a room doing what they want, and it works. It's like just a cocktail that's surprisingly good. Like, who thought a Long Island iced tea would taste great? It's a bunch of booze, a little bit of Coke and whatever, and it tastes awesome. Or at least that's what my 21-year-old self thought. But
goes down real easy. I know that.
Exactly. And that's sort of how it is. It's just like this mess that turns out pretty great. And a thing like PJ Harvey's Rid of Me, and I don't know that they captured that. She obviously didn't capture that without the band after that, but it's its own thing. But that record, I think, is a perfect distillation of like aggressive guitars and compositions that challenge the standard. They challenge something, and I love that record. I could sing it right now probably, and I just love it.
Sure, go for it. All right. No, actually, I'm going to move on because we don't have too much time. And again, now, so this is a very constant theme I'm seeing, is that Steve Albini keeps on getting brought up. So because I mean, he's just so involved. I mean, the bands that he's been part of, obviously the lineage, and then obviously the production work or engineering work, whatever you want to consider it to be, of all the bands that he's been working with. Is just astounding, and then all of them fit into this category. But so now, okay, so there's this quote that I found from another journalist in a research I was doing for another guest. Okay, but it applies, and so I wanted to run it by you as well. There was an essay Steve Albini had written years ago where he predicted in the early 90s that the major label gold rush towards underground noise and grunge and indie rock was ultimately going to be their undoing. Even just a couple of years later, after the article came out, a lot of his predictions ended up coming true. And it was proven that he had some foresight there. So now the article goes into a question about reaching a level of success. But my question is for you is, do you see the ability for any noise rock bands to elevate to a level of mainstream success?
I don't know. I mean, I think a band to create that kind of success, most indie rock or most noise rock bands right now survive on and thrive on being able to do what they want when they want. And I think that just being on a major label or something that would allow them to grow financially or to do it full time or I think somebody's going to start telling them what to do. I mean, I think that's what happens in all these situations is at some point, somebody's going to say your band would sound a lot better with a backup singer or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the end of it. It'll either be the end of that contract with the band or it'll be the end of the band, the sound that they've got.
Right. They'll evolve into something different and it won't necessarily be what it was.
Yeah, exactly. And, one of the things that has made, like Steve Albini, I'm sure they make a kit. Well, hopefully one day I'll find out how much they make per show. But they make a killing at those shows. I mean, a killing. I say a killing. They are paid of what they're worth at those shows.
Sure.
But that's not their life. That's not their livelihood. A band like the Jesus Lizard, all those guys have day jobs. They have other things to do. They don't live off of the royalties of those songs. I mean, they have other things. And I think the way that they've stood the test of time is by keeping that boundary. And I don't know that somebody like the Jesus Lizard has ever been approached with a major label, like said, hey, here's $100,000 in a world tour and you'll come out of it with a couple $100,000 at the bank. I don't know that that's ever happened. I doubt it.
Yeah. It didn't happen for them, like them and Melvins and stuff like that back in the 90s when the grunge explosion was happening. They didn't get major label deals.
Not in the sense of a Nirvana. I'm sure there were one-offs and things that, but I don't know that anybody thought they had. I mean, the Melvins, you look at what they've done, or Buzz and Dale have done. I mean, I don't know them personally. I met Buzz in Elevator one time, but that is, he's doing it. Like, he's what you would consider a noise rock commercial success. Sells out every show they play for the most part, as far as I know. Lives off of it, doesn't have a day job, but he's done that. He's been playing music for 40 years and lives the lifestyle of a guy who wants to be, that's his art. That's his drive. That's his life. So I don't know that if somebody were to, I could speculate that if somebody were to come to Buzz and say, hey, here's $100,000, here are all these dates. And you need 4 records done by, 2025 or whatever it is. He's going to look at him and say, at some point, that devil's that's going to come due. And I don't want it. Like, I would imagine that's what would happen.
I would just assume he'd pull the records out of the vault, be like, oh yeah, I got 4 over here. Here's 4 now.
Exactly. It's just shit them out,
Yeah. So, I guess a couple more things just to kind of wrap this up. The idea of Noise Rock Festival, another thing that kind of got mentioned was that Amphetamine Reptiles Records had done a couple of festivals of some sort at some point in time. Do you know if that's true or?
Yeah. So they did what he called bashes. So White Drugs was in the 25th anniversary AMRET bash back in 2010.
Okay.
And that I'd always kind of liked the idea of festivals. I went to a bunch of Lollapaloozas when I was in high school because that's all we had. And
sure.
and that walking around that festival is like when I saw like the noise rock community, all these people that love all the same music that I love, walking around talking about it. You grab a beer and they're like, oh, who are you here to see? And you talk about it, or somebody walks up here in White Drugs. Oh, I love the song. It sounds like this. And just seeing that, and that communal aspect, and guys from the Netherlands, from Germany, from Toledo, from, Miami, all just having a blast talking about noise rock. And so his bashes, and that was unfortunately the only one I made it to, but he did 4, I believe.
Okay.
And yeah, those were in a way I'm trying to replicate that from the community aspect. Scope wise, they were smaller, they just were. And I'm not trying to, make things giant or anything, but he managed to tap into that vein of community, gathering people around a common, sound, and it was really successful. And I hope that someday my festivals are thought of in the same light as those bashes, because those were something special for sure.
Yeah. Well, so how many years deep are you now?
4. This will be our 4th year.
Cool. And every year it's been getting better and better.
Bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
good. That's a good sign, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first year was just kind of, hey, I'm going to do this. Second year was, a bunch of, we had cancellations, and we'll always be plagued with cancellations, but, and then, yeah, it's growing for sure. I mean, I think this is the biggest year that we'll ever have. I don't know that I can handle this kind of stress.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, well, we'll plateau. Let's say that.
Sure.
But I think what it's done, especially last year with Book and Helmet, it put us on the map with the agents. It basically said, hey, the venue and Jeff are willing to do what it takes to make this successful. And despite the COVID cancellations and the shutdowns nationwide,
right,
at the time of last year's, we pulled off a great fest. I mean, it was awesome. It was unbelievable to see that number of people just having a great time. Perfectly well timed with, the Delta variant dropping, or was it Delta at that time, or was it I can't remember, but
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's eternal now.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping next year we can, we'll probably take a day off. It'll probably go back to 3 days. The Young Widows just fell into my lap through my dear friend Andy Shaney, who I love and can't wait to give him a big old hug. But he sort of knows Evan and Young Widows, so it just happened that sort of like hey, why don't you ever respond to the emails from No Coast? And thus a 4th day was born. So
cool.
I mean, bigger, better, I hope. I hope we see a lot of people. I mean, I think it's one of those things that I think when people miss these types of opportunities, I wouldn't miss it. And I think that you miss meeting people from all over the world that love the same bands and making connections that, I mean, I've met people through this that I would have never met, and look forward to hanging out with them, and
yeah,
I think that's something that people sorely need in today's society, is that connection without any strings. There's no strings attached to going to a rock and roll concert together. You can roll in, have a few beers, laugh, and then you go home to your life and you look forward to it the next year,
Yeah.
We don't have road trips anymore. So this, hopefully this fills that void.
Yeah. Connections, no strings and no screens.
Yeah. Exactly.
Real life connections, real life connecting,
I went, we went to see Bikini Kill in May. Yeah, in May in Austin. And I'd been to a handful of, bigger shows, or, more radio friendly shows, and the screens are just omnipresent. It's just nothing but hands in the air. And No Coast is different than that. You don't see a lot of it. You don't see a lot there. And I think the world and the people listening to music that we enjoy, that's something you don't get. Like, I went to Bikini Killer. Shit, there were 1,500 people there, and you only saw a few of that. No Coast, you see very few people just with their hands in the air looking at their screens, because of the nature of the music. Same with Bikini Kill. Because of the nature of the music, it's emotive, it's engaging, it's feral. It wants you to get. You don't have a choice to be involved.
Right. Yeah.
And holding your phone up in the air. Well, in No Coast, it's probably going to get knocked out of your hand. I might do it.
Right.
Won't see me do it, but I just don't. Yeah, it's like you said, no strings, no phones, just No Coast, I guess.
Human connection.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing, man. The community. I mean, I think that more than anything, speaking to you tonight is helping me kind of put that into perspective. It's that memory of what community is like, especially amongst the noise rock scene, because here in Providence, it's a very much a community. It's very much a loving scene that is very thoughtful and caring about everybody that's involved with it. And from what you're telling me, I kind of feel that about Denton right now.
Yeah, it very much so. And Rubber Gloves and Chad and the staff there, that's what they do. They make everybody feel welcome. They, now when we did it at Division, it was the same. It was exactly the same feeling. Or I say exactly, it was a different feeling. It was more that house show vibe because there's no stage, but we were going to outgrow that place. And we needed to provide something bigger, a little bit bigger and a little bit more accommodations surrounding it. But yeah, I mean, showing up and being able to we haven't had any fights. I haven't seen a shoving match. I haven't seen any of that. And it is just a wonderful thing. You don't have any, like you said it, loving. My wife would probably chuckle at me saying noise rock fans are loving, but it really is true. You just, everybody says the best sweethearts in the room are in a metalhead show,
Right. Yep.
But noise rock people I'd give them toe-to-toe action there for just being genuine, nice people. They wear themselves on their sleeve, and for good or for bad, nobody pulls any punches. And that's, what I love is you talk to somebody, who they are right away, and I don't do this for anything other than putting people in the room with bands. The second somebody says, "Hey, let's put it at some amphitheater where it's 10,000 people," it'll never happen, because I can't get bands with fans in a room to just enjoy each other.
Right. No, I hear you, man. Well, I think that you're doing a wonderful and noble thing.
Thank you.
I think that it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to being down there and checking it out. Is there anything that I don't want to ask you about any surprises or anything like that? I don't think there are going to be any, but I mean, what is one to expect if they make it down there this year?
I think you're going to come across. I think you'll come across with a new band, your new favorite band. I mean, I think people really. It's such a diverse group of bands this year that I really feel like something's going to happen. There'll be a memorable moment. We haven't had too many of those. I mean, we have experiences that could never be replicated, but I just feel I don't have anything planned. I mean, if we have a big cancellation and I got to go, digging something up, we may create a surprise. But right now, I think being able to see Proto Martyr on a small stage in a venue that size, you're never going to be able to get that again. You never. To be able to see them in their most animalistic and be able to reach out and touch a guitar. I mean, not that you should, but be that close,
Right. Yeah.
It's just unheard of in today's world, and they wanted to do it. I didn't ask them to play. Their agent, their agent reached out to me.
Sure.
But they did it. That's something, I look at them as a band that could be maybe one of those breakthrough bands just because of how charismatic they are. But that's a band that just loves to play music. And same with Mets. I mean, Mets are one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time. And here they're going to play some little rock club in Denton, with a bunch of other bands that I love. I have a million favorite bands, my wife will tell you, but
yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean, just being able to see that and witness something. Unsane last year, Unsane in a tiny little venue, tearing it up was unbelievable. And not going to get to see that many times,
Right. Or ever again. I mean, unless they come back to No Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then, and with that being said, I wish you all the best, man. I really love what you're doing. I think it's a great thing, and I hope that you just are able to keep on doing it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for interviewing these bands. And I don't know them all personally, but I would bet they're just super stoked to get to talk about their music and what drives them. Great podcast, by the way. I've listened since you reached out. I've listened to a handful of episodes. And it's great. It's a cool format, and I just really dig it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
All right, take care, man.
All right, you too, man. Vinyl Vision is a Psychic Static production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins of 123 Astronaut.